Obsidian for building a knowledge moat. A knowledge moat isn't about knowing more than everyone else. It's about organizing what you learn so it compounds over time. Obsidian is one of the few tools that helps you build this kind of long-term advantage. In this video, I'll show you how to use Obsidian to create a personal knowledge moat that gets stronger every year. A knowledge moat basically means that your understanding deepens faster than others. You can recall ideas quickly, you can connect concepts across time, and your thinking becomes harder to copy. Most people consume information, but very few compound it. Obsidian helps you move from consumption to accumulation. When you see the traditional note systems fail, that is because the notes are isolated, old ideas disappear, the learning doesn't stack, and they're optimized for storage and not thinking. So according to any traditional system of note-taking, what's going to happen is that the notes are not connected as they would be connected over here on Obsidian. You're going to see that they are linked together. You have placed links in here. If I have a note opened up and I click on the link, I can go towards another note. And then from that note, if it has a link, I can go forward to another note. And then if that's linked as well, I can go towards another note. So there is so much linking going on over here. You can see in the graph view as well, there are a lot of links, and these notes are connected with one another. They're not isolated as you would have in a traditional note-taking system. And because of that, any older ideas where the idea actually generated from disappears. So the bases in here, you can see that the ideas are connected and you can always trace back your ideas to the original idea and where this whole process started from. So you can go back and you can trace all the steps and you can access all the notes and they're not going to get lost either. So the traditional note-taking system is mostly optimized for storage. They focus on storing the notes, placing them in different folders and different files, and focusing more on the aesthetics and all that kind of stuff and not more on thinking. So what a knowledge moat needs is it needs linking, it needs revisiting, it needs long-term memory, and that is where Obsidian excels. Obsidian really works on creating those links between the different notes, between the different ideas and concepts. It really focuses on the links, and the linking is what Obsidian is known for. It also allows revisiting. So if you have any tags, you can search through here if you've tagged any items, or even if you just go over them here in the graph view, you will notice any notes that have been neglected or are not connected. You would go over them and you would see why they're not connected, what the reason is. And then over time, you'll see maybe some connections that you did not make or you weren't able to make through the notes, you would see here and you'd be able to make those connections. So you can really revisit your notes. You can access long-term memory through these notes. The notes are not going to get lost or they're not going to be out of sight at any time. And the long-term memory is really going to help you out. So with that, Obsidian is really going to excel. And if you want to excel too, then you want to use Obsidian to build your knowledge moat. So in order to build the moat-friendly vault structure, you're going to keep the structure very minimal. So let's open up a new vault and start creating our system. And first of all, I'm going to add in the folders. So we want to keep that minimal. We're going to go up here, click on folder, and we're going to create our folder. I'm going to be making a total of 5 folders, and you're going to number the folders as well. So the first folder that I'm going to make is going to be the inbox folder. And I'm also going to number it 01 so it stays on top. And this is the inbox folder. Next, I'm going to create the other folder that is going to be titled notes. So I'm going to give it the title of notes. Now I'm going to create the third folder that is going to be daily. So 3 and daily. And the fourth folder is going to be titled synthesis. Synthesis is our fourth folder. And the last folder is going to be projects. So fifth is projects. And these are our 5 folders. Now this structure over here that I've built out of folders, we have a total of 5 folders, and that is going to be the core of our setup. Now this structure supports learning by thinking and by applying. So we're going to learn through thinking and you're going to learn by applying that thinking. And that is going to be made possible with the help of these folders. folders. So what you're going to do first of all is note that each folder is going to be responsible for holding notes related to the same theme. So in the inbox folder, you're going to have all the raw captures. So any ideas that come to your mind, any tasks, anything that comes to your mind related to your project, you can make a quick note of that. You're going to come up here, you're going to open up a note, you're going to quickly just give it a title, or maybe not give it a title, but any particular title, and just take the notes. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that note, bring it up here, and put it in the inbox. And this is going to have all the raw captures. Then you have the notes folder in which you're going to have single ideas. So one idea per note. So one note is going to have the whole idea. So if we go here, I have an idea. This is the note. It has a whole idea written down. I'm going to put that idea in the notes folder. Then in the daily notes, you're going to have, in the daily folder, you're going to have the thinking log. So all thinking logs are going to go in there. You're going to come here. You're going to open up your daily note every day. And then you're going to log in all of your info that you want to. And then you're going to put that daily note in the daily folder. And that is going to have all of your logs. You can use these notes. You can rename these notes and you can modify them. And then you can put them in different folders later on. The synthesis folder is going to hold all insights and opinions. So you're going to open up a new note and you're going to have insights and opinions, and you can divide this into 3-4 different sections or maybe 2 sections, and you're going to have all kinds of insights and opinions on different topics, and you're going to put that in the synthesis folder. You have the last folder, which is project, and in that all the applied knowledge is going to go in there. So the knowledge that you have stored, maybe in the form of notes, in your inbox maybe, or in your daily notes, all of that which has been applied, you're going to put in the projects folder. So a project, a proper project that is being worked on is going to be placed inside this projects folder. And that is how you're going to divide your notes into these folders, and you're going to be mindful of what you need to describe, what you need to include in each note. And this is really going to help you out greatly, and this is going to be the core of your whole setup. So you have a total of 5 folders that you're going to use to work on your system. Now, you always want to capture ideas and not information. So when you read or watch something, don't copy it all of a sudden and don't summarize it. Instead, write what surprised you, what changed your thinking, what you disagree with, and 1 idea per note. So for every idea, you're going to have 1 separate note, and that note is going to contain the whole idea. So you're going to note down those things. You're not going to summarize what someone else has said or copy it or anything. You want to note down what you think, what you thought about it, what surprised you, what changed your thinking, what you disagree with. You want to note all of that. And this is the foundation of a moat. That means the original understanding. So that is going to be the foundation, the original understanding. Any links that you create between the notes. So for example, you have a note in here, idea, and you want to connect it to the project. So idea and untitled, you want to connect those. So idea and untitled. Now, how are you going to know that this is the connection I want to make? Because how you're going to know is that you're going to look for meaning and not any kind of just organization. You're not going to look for, making your graph look prettier or just organizing stuff or giving every note a category or just create, that you have to create links. I mean, there are some notes which won't have a link. So you can leave it out like that. You don't have to go about forcing any connections between the notes just because they're there and they don't have a connection. So don't do that. You want to look for meaning, link for the meaning, and not organization. So link for meaning, not for organization. Don't get carried away with the organization. What you're here for on Obsidian is to look for meaning, look for knowledge, look for wisdom, look for those natural connections, and let your system build organically. So when you are linking, when you write a note, you want to ask yourself, I want to ask myself, what does this connect to? This note that I'm writing down, what does it connect to? What idea does this becomes challenged. So what does it not support? What is it challenging? What is it claiming? And then create those links naturally. And over time, the patterns are going to emerge. And in here, you're going to notice that the topics cluster and your thinking becomes structured without planning it. So you're not going to plan your thinking. It's going to develop a structure without you having to plan anything. And this is how Obsidian compounds knowledge. The daily notes over here that you see are the notes where learning accumulates. So you're going to use them to reflect on what you learned. You're going to open up your daily note and you're going to reflect on what you learned. You're going to ask questions. You're going to link ideas casually. And this is going to create a timeline of your thinking, which is incredibly powerful long term and is going to benefit you in the long term, which you're going to see after a few months of use. Now, if you look at the synthesis folder here, what you're going to have inside the synthesis folder is going to be known as the Moat walls. So when multiple nodes point to the same inside that, then you're going to create a synthesis node. So for example, if you have multiple nodes, they're all connected to one node, or they're all connected to one idea. There are multiple nodes which are coming together and you see kind of a pattern forming. Then this node is going to be created, which is going to be the synthesis node. And then here you're going to create the synthesis node. You're going to title it what you want. And this is going to combine ideas. It is going to form opinions as a result. So it's going to explain all the implications and it's going to form opinions after going through the combination of ideas. So these notes are what will make your knowledge hard to replicate. The kind of knowledge that you are going to get out of these synthesis notes is going to be unmatched, and it is not something that anyone else will be able to replicate because you've gone through a whole process, a whole setup, and you've understood this through a lot of effort. And it is not something so easily achieved that anyone can replicate it. So this is why this knowledge system is going to be for you only, and it is going to be specific to your knowledge, your understanding. And then you want to apply that knowledge that you gain through the projects in the end. So it only matters if knowledge gets applied, and you want to use your projects to apply the ideas, test the theories, and build real outputs. So link back to the notes that influenced the project, and this is going to close the learning loop. So you learned something and now you synthesized and you learned something and you decided you learned about a whole pattern, and then you came up with an opinion, and then you decided on applying that to any project. So you're going to apply this to this project, and I see a link building. So you're going to apply the synthesis note to the project note, and then once you do that, this is going to link the project all the way back to the start, to the beginning, and then it's going to close the learning loop. So the lesson is learned and the goal achieved. Obsidian doesn't give you a knowledge moat automatically. It gives you the environment to build one. If you consistently capture ideas, link meaningfully, reflect over time, then your thinking compounds, and that is the real advantage.